Welcome back to the 6th episode of the Diving Into Sports podcast with your host Lyle
and Nash.
Henry. Let's dive into today's topic. So the Honda Classic finished up this Sunday with an epic ending, and Kirk and Eric Cole went into a playoff. Just another spectacular PGA event. It's just always so fun to watch. But I just have always loved playoffs, and Kirk, his first win in nearly 8 years, it certainly was a special way to win. You certainly also have to feel for Eric Cole, though, who kind of came out of nowhere, but played great all week and has battled through different issues, but almost found his way to the top. Still, though, a great fight. So, what did you take away watching this thrilling ending?
I thought it was neat to see Kirk win for the first time in a long time after he stepped away from golf for a few years due to alcohol abuse. But I was rooting for Eric Cole because I think his future is really bright, and I wanted him to get his first PGA Tour win last week in Florida.
Yeah, I've always loved this tournament, especially because of the bear trap and the water, and just how the way this is built for something like this, a playoff on 18, the par 5. You saw Kirk hit it into the water before the playoff. That was huge. We thought Eric Cole was going to win after that, but somehow Kirk still found a way to win. And yeah, there were definitely some funny shots to watch as people went into the water and had to take some clothes off to prevent the mud from getting on their clothing. It was entertaining for sure.
Yeah, a lot of interesting names at the top two besides Kirk and Cole that we mentioned. Tyler Duncan, number 3 from Columbus, Indiana, near here. And then Ryan Gerard, 4th. You can add on to him because I know you like him.
Yeah, this guy, he finished tied 3rd at the Panama Championship just a few weeks ago. And now coming in as the very last qualifier for this tournament, a Monday qualifier, and finishing 4th out of UNC, University of North Carolina. He has such a bright future, moved up to just above 300th in the world, and he's got himself into the Puerto Rico Open this week. I think he has a great chance to do amazing again. And who knows, if he finishes tied 9th or better, he'll get a special temporary exemption on the PGA Tour, which means he'll be a temporary member, and that I love that. I mean, I enjoyed watching him this week. He nearly had an albatross too in round 4. It hit the flagstick. Many great highlights for him from this week.
And then let me just go behind him, Gerard, in the leaderboard as I round out the top 10 with these names. Justin Suh, who I like a lot, who won the Korn Ferry Championship. He was the 36-hole leader at the Honda Classic, but then he kind of fell. His putting game wasn't as sharp on the weekend, and he ended up finishing tied 5th. But I think will be a name that will appear more in the leaderboards of PGA Tour events as we go further, because his game's really on the rise. And then Ben Taylor, an Englishman whose game has also been getting better and better. He finished at 9 under. He lives right by where the Honda Classic was played at PGA National. That might have benefited him. Sepp Straka then, also tied at 9 under in 5th place. He won last year. I'm a big fan of him from Austria. And then right behind him, Shane Lowry, the big Irishman, who almost didn't play last week because his uncle passed away, but he decided to play, and he actually finished in the top 10, so that was nice. And then finally was Ben Martin, tied 5th at under 9. He's an American who's always kind of been mediocre in the standings, but he's been playing well lately.
Yeah, aside from Ryan Gerard, there were a few foreign names that caught my eye this week. Shane Lowry, mainly because of his uncle passing, sadly, and I enjoyed watching him win the Open a few years ago. I've always liked him since, and being from Ireland too, how can you not root for a guy from Ireland? And past him, Harry Hall from England. We saw him at the Korn Ferry Tour Championship, and now seeing him be exempt on the PGA Tour, top 25 in Korn Ferry. He made the cut this week. Didn't have a great finish, but still, making the cut's always good. And then Jeff Ogilvy, who won the U.S. Open a long time ago, but is kind of making a comeback. I am very happy to see that Ogilvy is playing at the Puerto Rico Open this week, and if he made a miraculous comeback, it would be definitely not as great as Tiger's, but still a great comeback. I mean, he won a major, and now back on the PGA Tour again. I love to see it.
Yeah, those are some interesting names to mention. Another couple golfers that I like a lot that finished well this week. One, Cameron Percy, finished tied 12th at under 7. He's a 48-year-old Aussie who hasn't won on the PGA Tour, but I've always liked him because he just seems interesting as a person and player, and he seemed like a really nice guy. He's finished at the top of a lot of leaderboards. He played well at the 2020 Safeway Open. He hasn't come on top on the PGA Tour, but I still think he could as he's getting closer to the Senior Tour. And then another name who I like a lot, Garrick Higo. He finished in 29th at under 3, a young South African, a lefty, who's been playing well lately. And that, from finishing in 29th, that will help him greatly. He might make it into the Players, the 2023 Players, in a couple weeks down south in Florida as well. So his game's on the rise, and I'm looking forward to see his progress continue in the future.
And speaking of the Senior Tour, Padraig Harrington, who plays on the Senior Tour, played in this week's event, which he won in 2015, and now he'll be playing in the Arnold Palmer next week, which is only in 2 days, and we'll release a podcast on that. But anyway, he made the cut and finished very well for a Senior Tour player, over 1, which might not sound the best, but again, he plays on the Senior Tour. He won in 2015, and now playing in the Arnold Palmer. I saw a video of him practicing with Shane Lowry, a fellow Irishman, and I think that's great for those two to get some time together while playing on the PGA Tour. It's special.
Here's another thing to note from this past week. There were 2 withdrawals. Thomas Dietrich, who withdrew because of a back injury, and Brent Grant, who withdrew because of a sinus illness, I guess you could, a nose illness. And would you like to add on to that?
Yeah, there's always some withdrawals, but honestly, there's sometimes more than 2, so that's not bad. And then I'm just looking at the bottom of the leaderboard. I don't like it because I feel bad for the golfers, but I'm curious to see who's at the bottom. Sung Kang and Eric Van Rooyen, both at the bottom at over 14.
Oh my goodness.
Sung Kang won the AT&T Byron Nelson in 2019. I've followed him since. I think he has potential, definitely. An 81 round 2. It wasn't meant to be this week. And Van Rooyen, he goes 77, 77. Not much better, not much worse, the same. 2 bad scores. Definitely want to improve on that for both those guys.
Another bad stat here for the field this week. There were 2 past winners that finished at over 9 or worse. Rory Sabatini and Camilo Villegas. They both finished at under 9. Sabatini did, but then Villegas finished at over 11. That just shows you that even people have won a while ago, as the course has changed 6 times here at the Honda Classic, it's interesting to look at even the past winners. They can struggle mightily once years go by.
Yeah, from top to bottom every week, we just love to, dive into all the players, and there's certain unique stories for each of them. But for us, that wraps it up, concluding the Honda Classic at PGA National. We'll look forward to the Arnold Palmer Invitational in 2 days.
And the Puerto Rico Open, the alternate.
Yes, we aren't sure which one we're going to choose to release a podcast on. Who knows? We maybe will do both, but we'll see. Anyway, as the main PGA Tour events continue their stretch in Florida, it's an exciting time. The Players just around the corner, but we're signing off for now.
Thanks for listening.
Remember, you can listen to Diving into Sports on Spotify, YouTube, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Castbox, Pocket Casts, and Stitcher. We'd love it if you could follow us on all of those platforms. And check out our Twitter account. Our handle is @Nash Lyle.
By the way, we're now available on Google Podcasts as well.